There is no shortage of legal experts, academics, minority groups who want to have their say on Bill 1, that is Quebec's proposed constitution, the one the government is calling the law of laws. Public hearings begin this week. The Quebec Bar Association has gone as far as saying Bill 1 is an erosion of the rule of law that risks a slide into authoritarianism. Marion Sandilands is a lawyer who has intervened at the Supreme Court on behalf of civil society organizations. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So the erosion of the rule of law, a slide into authoritarianism, that's a disturbing assessment of a law. Is it warranted?
Yes, and I'm far from the only one saying this. So you mentioned the Quebec Bar Association. There are others as well. The 100 law professors in Quebec, the Ligue des droits et libertés, and the Canadian Civil Liberties Association are all sounding the alarm here. And the Quebec Bar has said it's not just Bill 1, it's 3 bills together that are showing us something very serious is going on. And they have said it's a slide towards authoritarianism. I think what's happening right now in Quebec is a real step backward. It's a step backward in time to a time when the state could run roughshod over people's rights. And at a time when a lot of countries in the world seem to be making this type of step backwards, it is time to sound the alarm in Quebec.
I know that there are all kinds of factors in these 3 bills that you're talking about, but is there any particular aspect that is of particular concern for you?
There are too many to go in here to go through all at once here, but for Bill 1, I'll give you the main highlights. So there's a process problem here. A constitution should be tabled after consultation, and that wasn't done here. And in terms of content, there are a lot of worrying things, but I'll hit 3 in particular. So first of all, Bill 1 reflects a really narrow vision of Quebec society, this idea of the Quebec nation being defined on some very narrow terms. We saw some of this in Bill 21 and Bill 96, the secularism bills that have come recently as well. And it's this idea of who's in and who's out. And that's very sad for a constitution, frankly. The second thing that's very worrying is that Bill 1 is intended to remove checks on government power. And what I'm talking about here is rights and freedoms and the role of the judiciary, the role of the courts in reviewing laws passed by the government. And when we see a constitution that's aimed at removing checks on power, we should be concerned. Constitutions should protect people from the state, but Bill 1 is the opposite. It protects the state from the people. And the third main worrying thing about Bill 1 is that it attempts to sever some very important constitutional ties between Quebec and Canada. Some pretty important changes happening here, and all without a referendum and without the consent of any other province or the federal government.
And I know that when you talk about the 3, you're talking about Bill 1, which is the proposed constitution, Bill 2, the one that looks at doctors' salaries, Bill 3, the labor laws. And one of
That's right.
the overriding factors that people complain about is also people lose the ability to be able to criticize the government. And that's a serious concern as well, isn't it?
That's right. We see that with Bill 2 and Bill 3 in different ways. For example, Bill 3 is trying to make it harder for unions to play their role in civil society. And we see that in Bill 1 as well. It's going to allow the government to prohibit a whole swath of organizations from using public funds to challenge bills that the National Assembly deems to be in the interests of the Quebec nation. So we see here again, when you look at it all together, it seems to be a systematic attempt to rob civil society of its role in holding the government to account.
What do you think, though, is the real aim in doing this? You know, people throw around a lot of ideas. They're dealing with their base. They're trying. What is it exactly that they want to do, do you think?
Well, politically, I really don't know, Mitsumi, but I can tell you legally what it will do, which is create a very powerful state for Quebec. So we'll create new powers for the National Assembly, for a key minister, and for the premier himself. So in the future, it will mean that whichever government is in power, the power will be very concentrated with the premier and a few close cabinet ministers.
And very quickly, Marion, because we're almost out of time, you know, a lot of people will listen to you. They hear what people are saying about this. They feel that their rights are being taken away, but they also feel very helpless about, you know, for their ability to do anything about it. Is there anything people can do?
There's lots that people can do, and now is the time to do it. So don't forget, Bill 1 isn't law yet. It's still working its way through the National Assembly and will be for the next few months. So there is time to make voices heard, and they must be heard. So people can do things like write to their MNA, no matter the party, write to their member of parliament federally. This concerns the federal government too. You can write letters to the editor, op-eds, follow the National Assembly proceeding, talk to family, friends, community organizations, faith groups. The more people hear about this, the more they will activate and oppose this and resist. And finally, mobilize. There have been people in the streets last weekend led by the unions, and there needs to be more of this, and it needs to be sustained. And I expect there will be more to come. So lots of things that people can join in on and here. It's very important.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, Marion.